Hey everyone, and welcome back to Love Hackers, your daily dose of dating advice. I'm Alex Carter,
And I'm Sophie Tanaka.
ready to decode those confusing signals and level up your dating game.
Today we're diving deep into a dating mystery.
One that's probably left a lot of you scratching your heads.
Yeah, what does maybe really mean when it comes from a woman?
Is it a yes?
Yeah.
Is it a no? Is she just messing with us?
We're going to try to explore the psychology behind this common response, the different way you can interpret it, and of course, the best ways to navigate those tricky situations.
So let's unravel the mysteries of maybe together.
You know, in the world of modern dating, getting a straight answer can sometimes feel like you're searching for a needle in a haystack.
Oh, absolutely. Especially with app-based dating, you think you're doing everything right.
You've got the charm, you've got the wit, you've got a killer profile, but
But sometimes it feels like the platform you're using.
makes a huge difference in the responses you get.
Yeah, it's like you're fishing in the wrong pond.
Yeah.
You might get a nibble here and there.
But you're unlikely to land the catch you're really after.
Exactly. So before we even get into the nuances of maybe let's talk strategy.
Right, where should you focus your effort to minimize those vague answers?
And maximize your chances of actually finding someone compatible.
That's the goal.
All right, so spill the tea, Sophie. Which apps are we talking about here?
Well, for those who are looking for something casual, AFF consistently ranks at the top.
Okay,
It's got a massive user base and a reputation for actually getting results.
got it. AFF for casual connections.
Oh.
What about for something a little more serious?
If you're looking for something more meaningful, Passion is a really great option.
Okay.
It tends to attract a slightly older demographic than, say, Tinder, and the users seem to be more intentional
More intentional about what?
about finding a real connection.
Okay, so app choice definitely matters, but even on the right platform.
You're still going to encounter that dreaded maybe.
Yeah, and it leaves you wondering what's she really thinking.
All right, let's break this down. When a woman says maybe, it's rarely a straightforward yes or no.
Right.
There are usually layers of meaning behind that word, and to really understand it,
Yeah,
you have to understand those layers.
okay. I'm ready to peel back those layers. Let's decode this maybe enigma.
The first thing to always consider is context.
Okay.
Is she responding to a date request? A question about her relationship status?
Maybe you asked if she likes you.
Exactly. Each one of these scenarios has a slightly different set of potential interpretations.
All right, so let's start with a classic scenario. You finally worked up the courage to ask her out,
You push yourself out there.
and she hits you with a maybe.
Mm.
What's the first thing that should go through a guy's mind?
First of all, don't panic.
Easier said than done.
I know it's natural to feel a little disappointed, maybe even a little rejected, but in this context, maybe is almost never a flat-out no.
Okay, so if it's not a no, what could it actually mean?
Well, it could be a sign of nerves.
Nerves.
She might be interested but hesitant to jump into a date right away. Maybe she just got out of a relationship and she's still figuring things out.
Testing the waters.
Exactly. Or maybe she's incredibly busy
Yeah, work life, you know?
and she genuinely needs to check her schedule before she commits.
Right. Makes total sense.
It could also be a way of gauging your persistence.
Oh, so she's testing me.
In a way, some women use maybe to see if you're really interested or if you'll back down easily.
Okay, so how should a guy respond in this situation? Should he push for a yes or no, or just play it cool?
Definitely play it cool, acknowledge her response, let her know you respect her need for time or space, and just continue the conversation.
Like nothing happened.
Exactly.
So no need to overreact or come across as desperate. Just keep the vibe light and engaging.
Precisely. The key is to show her that you're not going to pressure her
Yeah.
and that you're genuinely interested in getting to know her regardless of whether the date happens right away.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've covered asking her out. But what about when you're trying to figure out her relationship status?
Yeah.
You ask if she's single, and she throws that curveball maybe.
Yeah.
What's the best way to handle that?
Again, avoid jumping to conclusions.
Right.
A maybe when it comes to her relationship status doesn't automatically mean she's playing games or hiding something.
Okay, good point.
No.
So what are some possible explanations for this ambiguous response?
Well, she could be dating someone, but it's not serious yet.
Okay,
Or maybe she just got out of a relationship and isn't sure how to define things.
it's complicated.
It happens. Or it's possible that she just values her independence and she's not ready to label anything yet.
Yeah, I can respect that. So what's the best approach here? Be direct, but respectful.
Exactly. You can gently probe a little further
Okay.
by just asking her to elaborate on the maybe. You could say something like, "That's cool, no worries. Is there a reason you're hesitant to say yes or no?"
But what if she gets defensive or just shuts down completely?
You definitely don't want to come across as pushy or like you're interrogating her, right?
The key is to create a safe space for her to open up.
Okay.
Let her know there's absolutely no pressure, and you're just trying to understand where she's coming from.
So approach it with curiosity and genuine interest, not suspicion or judgment.
Exactly.
Hmm?
And don't forget to pay attention to her body language.
Oh, right. The unspoken cues.
If she's smiling, making eye contact, and her body is relaxed,
Mm.
that's a good sign that she's open to sharing more.
But if she seems tense or withdrawn,
Or avoids eye contact,
it's probably best to back off.
and respect your boundaries.
Makes sense. Those nonverbal cues are crucial in any dating interaction, but especially when you're dealing with ambiguous responses like, maybe.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've tackled asking her out and asking about her relationship status. But what about when you're trying to figure out if she's even interested at all?
Ah, yes, the dreaded "do you like me" question.
Oh, boy.
This one can be a real minefield, and a maybe in response can be confusing.
Right? Is that a subtle
Right.
yes, a polite brush off, or just plain indecision? Well, in this scenario, a maybe often comes from shyness or a fear of seeming too forward,
Especially,
but she's not super assertive or used to expressing her feelings openly.
so it's basically a shy girl's way of saying yes without actually saying it.
It could be. It's like she's testing the waters,
Okay.
seeing how you react and hoping that you'll take the lead.
But it's also possible that she's genuinely undecided.
Right. She might just need more time to get to know you better.
So how do you move things forward without scaring her off or seeming too aggressive?
I think it's about shifting the focus away from getting a definitive answer
Okay.
and instead focusing on building that genuine connection.
I like that.
Instead of dwelling on the maybe, just concentrate on getting to know her better. Ask her questions about her passions. Share
Mhm.
some stories. Find common ground.
Basically, just be your charming, engaging self.
Exactly.
And let the sparks fly naturally.
The more comfortable and connected she feels with you, the less likely she is to resort to those vague maybes, and the more likely she is to actually express her feelings openly.
So true.
Okay.
Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive into the mysteries of maybe, I want to circle back to something we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
The importance of context.
Yes.
Maybe is rarely a standalone response.
You got it.
You need to consider the situation, her body language, and your overall dynamic to really decode her true intentions.
It's like solving a puzzle.
It is.
You need all the pieces to see the full picture.
If you're asking her out and she's twirling her hair, making eye contact, and saying maybe with a playful smile, that's probably a good sign.
Right. But if you're asking if she's single
Yeah.
and she avoids eye contact, crosses her arms and mutters maybe with a flat tone,
That's your cue.
it might be time to back off and just respect her space.
So it's all about reading between the lines,
Absolutely.
paying attention to those subtle cues.
And remembering that dating is a dance, not a formula.
Ooh, like that.
The more you practice observing, listening, and responding with empathy and understanding,
Yeah.
the better you'll become at navigating those ambiguous maybes.
And building those genuine connections with the
Absolutely.
women you're interested in.
That's what it's all about. Welcome back to Love Hackers.
We've been trying to unpack this whole enigma of maybe in the dating world.
And trust me, there are so many layers to this seemingly simple word.
Yeah, we've explored how the app you choose can actually influence how clearly you can communicate
Mm-hmm.
and how to interpret maybe in different scenarios.
Like asking her out on a date.
Or even just trying to figure out her relationship status,
Yeah. But there's one crucial element we haven't touched on yet.
which is,
Body language.
yes, the unspoken language that can often speak volumes.
It really can.
So how can guys get better at reading those subtle cues and understanding what a woman really means, even when her words are saying something different?
Well, first and foremost, you got to pay attention to her overall vibe.
Okay, vibe, got it.
Uh,
How does that even mean?
well, is she making eye contact? Is her body turned towards you, or is she angled away?
So eye contact, body orientation, got it. What else should guys be looking out for?
Her facial expressions.
Okay.
Those are key. Is she smiling, or does she have a neutral or even a slightly annoyed expression?
Right, and what about her tone of voice? Does that play a role?
Absolutely. Is she speaking in a warm, engaging tone, or is her voice flat and unenthusiastic?
Okay, so we've got eye contact, body language,
Mm.
facial expressions, and tone of voice.
Uh,
What if all of those things seem positive, but she still says, maybe? Is she playing hard to get?
Not necessarily. Remember, women are often socialized to be a little bit more reserved and indirect, especially when it comes to dating.
Okay.
So it's possible that she's genuinely interested, but she needs a little more time to warm up, or she's just a little shy about expressing her feelings openly.
So how do you strike that balance between respecting her boundaries, but also showing her that you're interested?
Patience is key. Be observant. Continue the conversation, focus on building that rapport, and see if she starts to open up more as you get to know each other.
If
Okay.
her body language stays positive and she seems engaged, that's a good sign to keep pursuing the connection.
But what if her body language is telling a different story? What if she's avoiding eye contact? She's crossing her arms, her tone of voice is distant. Should you just cut your losses and move on?
Yeah, in those cases, it's usually a sign that she's just not feeling it. And
Yeah.
it's best to respect her cues and back off gracefully.
Yeah,
Remember, there are plenty of fish in the sea, and you want to focus your energy on women who are actually receptive to your advances.
right. No point in chasing after someone who's sending you clear signals that they're not interested.
Now, let's talk about a specific scenario where maybe can be extra confusing.
Okay, I'm listening.
The dreaded shit test.
Oh, I've heard those can be a real minefield in the dating world. How do you even recognize one?
Well, shit tests are those subtle challenges or playful teases that women sometimes throw out there to gauge a guy's confidence, his sense of humor, his overall compatibility.
Interesting. So maybe can be a weapon in her arsenal. Exactly. You might suggest an activity, and she responds with, maybe if you're lucky, or you compliment her and she says, maybe I'll believe you if you say it again.
Oh, I see. So these are classic shit tests designed to see how you'll react.
Exactly.
So how do you handle it without coming across as like insecure or defensive?
Don't take it personally. Stay calm, collected, playful. Don't overanalyze the situation.
So just roll with the punches and show her that you're not easily rattled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Having a confident, easygoing attitude is incredibly attractive to women.
Yeah.
If you can maintain your sense of humor and show her that you're not intimidated by those playful challenges, you're going to pass the shit test with flying colors.
Makes sense. But some guys might argue that shit tests are just manipulative.
Mhm.
What's your perspective on that?
I get the frustration. I really do, but I think it's important to look at the context.
Okay.
Women often use shit tests as a way to figure out compatibility,
Okay.
to assess a man's emotional intelligence.
So it's not necessarily about being manipulative. It's more about trying to figure out who you are and how you handle yourself in different situations.
Exactly. And a confident, secure man won't feel threatened by these tests.
Yeah.
He'll see them as an opportunity to showcase his personality and his charm.
So how can guys develop that unshakable confidence that allows them to breeze through these shit tests and really any dating challenge that comes their way?
It starts with self-awareness and self-love.
Okay.
The more comfortable you are in your own skin, the less likely you are to be thrown off by someone else's words or actions.
Right. It's about knowing your worth, not seeking validation from others.
Exactly. And remember, confidence is not about arrogance or bravado.
Yeah.
It's about being comfortable with who you are, both your strengths and your flaws.
It's about owning your unique qualities
Mm-hmm.
and letting them shine through.
And when you exude that kind of genuine confidence,
Yeah.
it's incredibly attractive to women.
I can see why. Because it shows that you're not afraid to be yourself and you're not seeking their approval.
Exactly. And that self-assuredness can make all the difference when you're navigating the complexities of dating and building meaningful connections.
I love that. So we've talked about decoding maybe, understanding body language, navigating shit tests. But before we move on, I want to emphasize something really important.
Okay, what's that?
The best way to avoid getting stuck in this whole maybe limbo is to foster those genuine connections with women before you start pushing for a date or a label.
That's so important.
It is.
When there's genuine interest and you have that mutual attraction,
Yeah.
communication becomes so much more straightforward and all those ambiguous maybes just kind of disappear.
It's about building that foundation of trust and understanding
Yeah,
so you can move forward with confidence and clarity.
exactly. And that's what we're all about here at Love Hackers.
Yes, it is.
Helping you navigate the dating world with confidence, authenticity, and a healthy dose of self-awareness.
Welcome back to Love Hackers.
We've been on quite a journey today, haven't we?
We have exploring all the ins and outs of maybe in the dating world.
Everything from choosing the right app to deciphering those sometimes confusing body language signals.
And, of course, how to handle those tricky shit tests with confidence and grace.
It's all about strategy.
It is. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to shift gears just a little bit.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
So we've been laser focused on decoding the signals that women send. But what about the bigger picture? You know, the factors that influence how they communicate in the first place.
Ah, you're talking about those social and cultural norms that shape dating behaviors.
Exactly.
Okay.
How much do you think those norms influence the way women approach dating and relationships?
Well, that's a big question,
It is.
and one that probably deserves its own deep dive.
Maybe we'll have to tackle that another time.
But I think it's safe to say that societal expectations play a huge role in how we interact with each other, especially in the romantic realm.
Right. Like traditionally, women have been socialized to be more passive and receptive in dating,
Mm-hmm.
while men are expected to be the initiators,
Mm-hmm.
take the lead, make the first move.
Exactly, and those expectations can show up in really subtle ways.
Wait, how?
How women respond to messages, how they express their interest or lack of interest.
So basically, a woman's maybe could be influenced not just by her individual personality, but also by all those societal scripts that she's internalized about how women should behave in dating situations.
Exactly. And I think it's so important for both men and women to be aware of these expectations
Yeah,
and how they might be influencing their own behavior and how they interpret the actions of others.
right. Because it reminds us that dating isn't just about individual chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
It's about navigating this complex web of social norms and expectations.
Absolutely. And understanding those dynamics can help us communicate more effectively, build stronger connections, and ultimately create more fulfilling relationships.
Well said.
Yeah.
So to wrap up our deep dive into the ever so mysterious world of maybe, I think we should leave our listeners with a few key takeaways.
Great idea. What are your top tips?
Okay, first of all, don't overthink it. A maybe is not always a rejection. It could just mean she needs more time, more information, or a little more reassurance.
I agree. And always consider the context. A maybe with a smile and open body language is a very different story than a maybe with crossed arms and avoiding eye contact.
Exactly. Pay attention to those nonverbal cues. They can tell you so much.
And finally, be patient. Be respectful. Don't pressure her for an answer or blow up her phone with messages.
Right. Give her the space she needs to process her thoughts and feelings.
The more you focus on building that rapport, that understanding that mutual respect,
Yeah.
the less confusing those maybes will be.
And the more likely you are to find someone who's truly compatible with you.
That's the goal.
It is. This has been such a fascinating conversation. Sophie, thanks for sharing your insights with us today.
My pleasure.
And to all of our amazing listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of dating communication.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this episode with your friends.
And keep those questions coming. We'll be back soon with more dating advice and tips to help you level up your love life.
See you next time.
We're Alex Carter,
And Sophie Tanaka.
your hosts for Love Hackers.